have a question. I'm sorry. I have a question that someone from the audience would like to ask, and I'll ask it for them. Your opponent had spoken recently in the newspaper about the state of technology in the clerk's office. Could you explain how technology improvements are requested and what technology improvements you plan in the future?
Well, that kind of ties in with what I was just saying as far as being limited because of it's called a TTF budget, Technology Trust Fund budget, TTF. I'm rather limited because of the economy right now. We used to microfilm. When I came there in 1982, we had electric typewriters. Do you remember electric typewriters? And they weren't manual, but they were electric. And I think it was 1990 when I finally got my first PC. And I can't imagine not having a PC now. But we microfilmed all of our orders. And we had to microfilm them in the office, send off the film, have it developed, wait for the pages to come back, check everything, put them in the books. Well, when we started running out of space a few years ago, we went to scanning, and that's one of the big technology things just in the last 10-12 years is you scan everything, court orders, deeds, wills, all that stuff is scanned into the computer, and then you don't fill the books up anymore. It's just at your fingertips. We've been doing that for about the last 12 years. That started before I became clerk. So we tossed out our old microfilm machine, and everything is scanned now. The biggest thing on the horizon, and I think Washington County already does this, is scanning case files. It's called paperless court. A lot of the court systems are going paperless, and everything that we would take in, there would be like scanners on each desk, and everything that comes in you will scan through that scanner and put it directly onto the computer. Now that's what's coming, but it's harder to implement. Scanners are something like $500 or $600 a piece. If you need one on each desk, that runs into money. And they charge you, a maintenance fee and for the server and the hardware and the software. Right now, my budget barely covers the maintenance and the software on what I have right now. Now, I ask for all kinds of stuff in my budget, but that doesn't mean I'm getting it yet. So,
Terry, you've talked about experience, but I want to break that down into two areas that I think are really important. Can you comment about the importance that the clerk of court has with regard to collection of revenue in the community, and also with regard to the importance of accurate record keeping?
We are a major collector of revenue. When it comes to fines and costs that are assessed, those are harder to collect. Every deed that's recorded in our office, there's a fee, and it's based on the sale price. Let's say you buy a home and it's you pay $100,000 for it. To record that deed, the state fee for that is 25 cents per hundred. So the state gets 25 cents per hundred for every $100 in that 100,000. The locality gets 1/3 of that, 8 cents per hundred. So when you do this on the register and you plug in these codes, it comes up and it breaks down the state codes, the local codes, and our office codes, and everything goes into a different pot. So at the end of the month, like yesterday was the last day of the month, today we sent a check up to City Hall for almost $37,000, and that is what we collected during the month of October. That includes fines and costs, that includes every land transfer, marriage licenses, everything that we took in. If it has a 1 code is state, 2 code is locality, 3 code is my office, and it's all broken down. August, I looked today, in August we sent the city about $22,000. September it was up a little bit, and as of today we sent $15,000 more dollars of revenue to the city for the month of October than we did back in August. That's a good thing. That means that there were either land transfers coming through, probably stuff at Exit 7 came through during the month of October that helped push up the revenue. And, you know, some months are up, some months are down. When the economy was good, we were sending $40,000 to $50,000 a month to the city. So that's how much it had. And back during the last year or so, we got down to $17,000 to $20,000 in a month. That's how much it dropped. So to me, $37,000 for the month of October, that's a good sign. So that's going to the city. Accuracy is very important because we're a court of record. Everything has to be kept on record. We go back to 1890. Accuracy is very important because it becomes public record. Now, we do have some confidential things. I didn't even mention we do adoptions, which are confidential. Juvenile cases are confidential. For the most part, everything in our office is public record, but there are things that are confidential. And accuracy is one of the biggest things that I strive for. And the busier we get, the harder it is. But that's still what you strive for, is to make it right, because it's going to be there from now on. Yes, sir.
Terry, what about over the years, security at the courthouse? How do you feel about the situation now, the way we're operating?
Well, we actually like the situation now. Over the years, you know, 1982, you didn't think about something like that. And we were always told that the domestic part, you know, like a divorce case, we wouldn't really be in danger or have a courthouse incident in a criminal case as much as we would have in a domestic case where they're in court arguing over their things. But we've always been fortunate that other than a fight or two or something, we did have a pretty good fight several years ago out in the lobby, and luckily there were a lot of police officers and troopers there for court that day, and that was a pretty nasty breakout. But other than that, we've always been really lucky. But in the almost 4 years that the security has been down there, I have never felt safer than I do. And I had an incident just last year where a couple of people came in to see me, and we still don't know to this day what kind of scam they were running, but before they let her up to my office, they removed 2 knives off of this lady, and there was absolutely no reason for one of the knives that she had for her to even have a knife like that. So I didn't know what the knife looked like until after they left, and when they showed me that knife, I couldn't believe it. And we still don't know what the scam was, but I thank them almost every day for being there, because they have really helped. A funny incident, I told a lady one day how much her court costs were, and she passed out. The minute I told her how much she owed, she dropped like a rock. And of course I called security, and they were up there pretty quickly and calling 911 and everything. And they're just nice to have around, and jurors especially. I think the jurors feel safer because they're not there under their own doing. And if they get involved in a case, which the murder case we had earlier this year, I think they feel safer knowing that not just anyone can get in there, and no guns are coming in and no weapons are coming in.
Terry, in addition to your 30 years of experience in the Circuit Court Clerk's office, is there not additional training you get through the Clerks Association that's important also in helping you be more effective?
There's the Clerks Association, who has regular spring regional meetings. We just had a fall regional meeting recently at the train station. They hit certain areas each time. There's a clerks convention once a year. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to go the last couple of years because I've been dealing with grand jury paperwork, and it's just not a good time for me to get away. But they do have a help team at the Supreme Court that you can email when you have questions. Their manuals are online now. They used to send us manuals. Now everything's online, and you can either just go there and look or print them out and make your own manual if you want to do that. But and the greatest thing is emailing other clerks. You can send out mass emails to circuit court clerks, and every day or at least a couple times a week you'll get this question from a clerk. Somebody has come in with something unusual, and they'll describe it, and has anybody else had this happen? And within 5 minutes you've got clerks emailing their thoughts and their experience, what you can do, and their opinions. And it is a close, I think there's 120 of us across the state, and so it is close. I've never failed to have a clerk answer. At least half a dozen clerks respond to an inquiry.
Do we have any other questions?
I'd like to ask.
Okay.
Terry, is the budgets, are they based on the population too? I mean, how much money you receive?
Well, the salaries are based on population. Through the compensation board, a lot of that is based on population. Because our population is so small, my salary's less than the Washington County clerk, because their population is so much greater, and therefore the deputies are lower salaries as well. So it does have something to do with population. I think we're, 12 to 15 square miles is about all we are here in Bristol. So, but it's enough to handle. I see such a difference from 1982 to now in the workload. And it's hard to believe that Bristol, being just this independent city, could be as busy as it is, but it's amazing how busy we are. And when I started, we had a part-time Commonwealth's attorney in 1982, George Warren, who passed away last year. He was part-time Commonwealth's attorney, and he also practiced law on the side. And then he took on an assistant, and they had one secretary together. Today, we have 4 full-time Commonwealth's attorneys, and there are 3 people working in that office as their assistants. So that office has grown tremendously in 30 years. And my office has the same number of employees as it had in the 60s. So that's my argument lots of times, is to compare my office having the same number of employees as back in the 60s and 70s, and the Commonwealth's attorney went from a part-time person to 4 full-time attorneys over 3 courts. So that's the fight that we're up against.
Do we have any questions back here?
Terry, I just want to say it's been a pleasure to work with you for the nearly 2 years I've been treasurer. And I know that over your career you have achieved many milestones. Could you just share with me and the group what your most significant milestone has been in your career?
Oh gosh.
It's hard to pick one, I know.
It's hard to pick one. Well, as I said earlier, criminal court is my favorite thing. I miss working court. I work enough of it that I don't miss it completely, but there's days, if I could go back to doing nothing but working criminal court again, I'd be happy, because I love it that much. My favorite memory has been working with George Warren, watching him as prosecutor, and working with Judge Flanagan for 22 years. I feel like, and I'm not taking anything away from past Commonwealth's attorneys, and the one we have now, Jerry Wolf, is awesome right now in his office. But George Warren in his prime was the best Commonwealth's attorney. He's just the epitome of a Commonwealth's attorney. He had the voice, he had the knowledge, he had the skill. He could mesmerize you in a jury trial. I mean, he would just have you eating out of his hand. And that's one of the highlights, is watching him practice over the years. And I have a great staff. I've got my chief deputy has been there 37 years, If she lived in the city, she probably would have been the next clerk, but she didn't want to move into the city. I've got another lady that's been there about 31 years, and full-time and part-time. And I've just been blessed with some good employees who are dedicated and hardworking. And despite the fact that they are in their 4th year with no raise, they still work hard every day. And it's hard to pick one highlight. I've worked a lot of interesting cases. I have enjoyed working a lot of cases over the years. And probably the highlight is just the co-workers, the sheriff's office, the police department, the Commonwealth Attorney's office, the courthouse, City Hall. We're all like family, and I don't exaggerate when I say that, because we all just get along great. And I'm not saying we don't have spats and we don't kind of come at each other once in a while, but you forget it and you move on. And nobody holds grudges. They know, everybody knows they're just trying to do the best they can. And I would say my coworkers probably, and everybody that I've met, even attorneys,
I
Bernie.
forgot to mention that. I noticed that.
Even
I'm
attorneys.
gonna point that out.
I think Vernon and I started about the same time. I think we came around
I
the same
started
time.
in '81.
You might have me
You
by
have
6
been a
months.
leader for the entire courthouse and all the people that come and go, and you've nurtured and mentored the people in your office to get them where they are, which is a big, big asset and benefit to our locality.
I'll have to say, I feel like I have trained an awful lot of people over the years.
Are there any other questions for Terry?
Terry, how much of a challenge, as a fellow constitutional officer, I can state this myself, how much of a challenge has it been the last 8-10 years dealing with all the budget cuts from the General Assembly and trying to maintain your office and ever-increasing caseload?
I honestly believe that my term has probably been the hardest of any clerk they've ever faced. And now they might disagree with me, but you know, I know a day where the state was given operating money and everything's, not that we wasted money, but there was money there. And when they took away everything but salaries about 10 or 12 years ago, that was really hard to deal with. But with the economy, the way it's been, I honestly think my term has been about the hardest in the history of that office. Partly because of the workload. You know, the money's not there, but yet the workload is just increasing. Exit 7 probably helped, you know, bring on a lot of people, more people into town, and I guess Rhythm and Roots, you know, brought people to town, and it's the budget by far is the biggest struggle. Just was it 2 years ago we faced a 15.9% budget cut, and that comes down to a person or pay cuts for everybody, and that was not a pleasant time, and luckily we got through it. But and right now they're talking 6% possibly next year, and next year will be the 5th year with no raise for employees. So we're losing a lot of good employees to the private sector because they love their jobs and they want to stay, but 5 years with no raise, they're finding that hard to live with.
Okay. If we have no other questions,
Is that it?
any others? Okay. Thank you, Terry. Very
Well,
good.
thank you. I would like to thank everybody for coming out. This is a nice crowd. I appreciate everybody coming out for me. Make me feel special.
Yes, we certainly appreciate the huge crowd. We had to kind of rearrange things from where we started because more people kept coming in. And we certainly hope that everyone will turn out on Election Day to vote. Our treasurer, Angel Harris, is here, and you weren't here when I was introducing our other elected officials, so we appreciate you attending as well. I want to thank Carl and Sarah Williams for helping me plan the event. And Carl made our wonderful buttons over here and set up the table. This actually concludes our event, and we certainly appreciate everyone coming out.